Hello, it's good to have you here. My name is Bukola. I'm a career mentor and an inspirational speaker. I also write daily to thousands and thousands of career professionals in the bid to inspire them and spur them into taking massive actions towards their goals. Thank you for joining me here and for watching this video. Welcome. I'll be talking to you today about 15 things you should consider that will help you succeed as a new manager. So if you've just been promoted to the position of a manager, a supervisor, or you've just been given an opportunity to lead others and you were wondering what are the things that I need to do to help me succeed in that role, I've listed out 15 things that I think is going to help you succeed as a manager. Backstory: I just about 2 years ago I was promoted to the position of a manager, and immediately I was given the task to lead a very large team. And at that point, obviously before then, I've had to do things that I've been able to demonstrate leadership skills and the rest. So it's not really like new to me, but in this phase, it demanded me to not just be a leader socially and make sure that I attend to the needs of my team. I also needed to show from a technical perspective that I was the right fit for that role, the complexity that we were going to face throughout the course of the various projects we'll be doing and the rest. And these were the things that I did that changed the game and made me a top performer as a new manager. Now, the first thing I'm going to say to you is that your role as a leader is not for you to know it all. So it's not, and that is what I have seen to be an issue with new managers or new supervisors or people who have been given the opportunity to step up in grade. They feel like they need to have all of the answers, and that basically causes them anxiety. You do not need to know it all. As a manager, your work is to help facilitate the solution to the problems that your team is facing. And it's not just facilitating the solution, it's more of you being able to persuade others to act to bring the solution that the team needs at the time. So you want to deliver the right results for your team. If you want to deliver the right results for your team, you need to have that skill where you are able to persuade others to act for the benefit of the team. So it's not for you to have the answers. And that's why a lot of people get trapped. They start looking for answers, doing things themselves. They do not delegate and the rest and all that type of situation. You just need to come into that position as a leader to be able to communicate and get other people to do what they need to do to get solution for the team. Okay? The second thing I'll say to you is this, that the direction and the guidance that you give to your team on a daily basis is the most important thing you can do to set them up for success. So, those daily, obviously it depends on how your team is set up and how all of that happens and how you communicate with your team. But as a new leader, the more interfacing you have with your team, the more you get your team into the room, the more you are able to chart the course. So there will be a strategic vision for the organization, and then there will be the strategic visions for the larger teams, and then there will be those visions that your own, say, director or say MD or whatever has given for your own sub team. Now, for that vision to be actualized, there are some steps that needs to be taken by your own sub team. So you need to make sure that you are providing daily guidance and you are basically pushing them in the direction of the vision that has been set for the entire organization. This is very, very important. Don't make sure that everybody on your team are working towards the same shared vision, shared goal. So you want to avoid situations where even though this is what we are doing as a team, that there are some people on your team that are not very clear what they're doing, and as such the whole team is going north, someone on your team is going south. Your work is to provide that direction, that guidance. And I mean, if you are not clear and you do not have the conviction as their leader, it will be so difficult to convince them to go in the direction you want them to go. So the daily direction and guidance you provide is important. Now, it doesn't matter, maybe prior to you coming on board, maybe the person who was there before never used to have meetings with the team. It just used to be maybe once a month kind of situation. You need to make it more often, because you want to be able to catch it when there are issues. You want people to feel like they can come to you for solution rather than looking for solution for themselves, and then they just go in this inefficient run to find answers that you already do have. Okay, so you want to make your catch up with your teams more frequent, so you can feel their pulse, you can know where they are, you can know if there are issues that you need to be dealing with almost immediately. Okay, the third one I'm going to say to you is this, that your team wants to know where they stand with you. I know leadership can be overwhelming, and it's no longer about you, it's now about you plus your team. So it can be overwhelming, and while you think, oh, I'm just going to do what I need to do, and I'm just going to sort of go away, do my work and go away. It's no longer like that when you're a manager, because now your team depends on you, and you just need to understand that. And they all not only depend on you to get their work done, they also depend on you sometimes for their emotional balance, and to know that they are truly valued and that they are recognized. I don't know if you get it, but they depend on you to let them know that they are wanted. So it is not about you anymore. You need to understand that your team needs to know from time to time that they are wanted, they are valuable, and they need to know that they can be recognized for the good work that they do. Okay, so you find a way, find a system to communicate the value that your team brings to them. So for instance, someone does a very fantastic job. Let's say there is a problem, there's a pain point overall, and your team needs to solve that problem, right? Your team needs to solve that problem, and someone on your team has taken it on board. They've done a very good job, and they've given you back the results of the work that they have done. Don't just go away and take it and say thank you and go away. Find a system, and I will share practically some of my systems with you. When someone does a good job, that kind of takes, even just this week, someone did a very fantastic job in solving a problem that one of my bosses wanted us to do. Now, instead of me, I could just take that off of them and say, oh, thank you for doing this, and I move on. One of the things I do is, if we have a group chat, in our case, we have a group chat where everybody is in that group chat, where we sort of do work. What I did was to put in that group chat that, oh, this person has been fantastic, they did this, they did this, they did this, and this is the implication of the work that they have done, and I'm very, very grateful for the work that they have done. You will see almost immediately, you will see the energy in the room. You know, you will see people saying, other people within the room saying, oh, well done for the work you did, and you will feel, you're not there with the person, but you can almost feel how important they feel in the moment, and how happy they feel in the moment. And that has been my major immediate system of recognizing my team members. Obviously, there will be other things that are available within your organization. If you have the power to buy them chocolates, do whatever it is, write them a nice note, copy the people who need to know. Like if they have like a career coach in the organization, or they have someone who's responsible, like their own line manager, maybe you're not their line manager, maybe there's another person who is their immediate line manager, write a nice note for them, copy the right people who need to know that they're doing a great job. It can even be your own manager. You know, whatever that is, have a system of recognizing the people that work with you. You're going to build trust with them, and they will do just about anything to support you in the future. Now, the fourth thing is that do not decide on your team's behalf. Usually, the kind of projects we get on to do are usually large, and sometimes we just want to get through stuff quite quickly, and you know, they said do this A, B, C, D, E, and you just want to like just do it and let's go. And then because of the tight time frame, you can be put in a situation where you're basically saying, you know what, I don't care what you think, do it my way and let's get out of here. You will be tempted to do that. Not gonna lie, there were some situations where you just needed to put your feet to the ground and say, this is how we're going. But please, in 99% of the cases, listen to your team when they talk to you. Okay, so chart a course for them, show them the vision, show where you're headed, and get their input is important. Don't leave them out of conversations. Don't leave them out of decision making. Make them feel like they're part of the decision that is being made, because if they are part of the decision, then they feel obligated to do the things they need to do to make sure that that vision comes to life. So you want to make sure that they're part of it too. Don't just say, tomorrow we're going north, next tomorrow we're going south. No, take your time. Ask them, how do they feel? This is what you're trying to achieve. How do they feel is best? And then when you ask them, don't ask them because I already said ask them, or because it's just okay to ask them. When you ask them and they give you sensible options and opinions, thank them, validate them. Even if you don't agree, validate them. It's important for you to say, that sounds absolutely fantastic. In this case, we can take half of what you have said, attach it to half of what somebody else has said, and we can get the best efficiency, the most optimal decision. Or, fantastic, we're taking it on board. Or, why is this fantastic? It doesn't really work in this case. Maybe we can try it for something else, But you need to be out there talking to them, getting their opinions, and you're not the originator of wisdom. So wisdom can come from just anybody and from anywhere. So you need to understand that while basically working with your team. So make sure that don't always go and decide for your team. Make sure you involve them in decision making. Okay. The fifth thing is, your team will learn first from your behavior than from what you tell them to do. And your team, they're not babies. Your team, they're adults, right? I presume they're adults. Even my toddlers, you can't just tell them to do something and they're just going to follow you blindly. My daughter isn't going to do that. She's going to challenge you. In fact, I feel like my kids taught me how to be a very good leader, because they challenge and I have to answer them. I have to be patient to answer them. And at work, you will see a situation where you will say, oh, this is what we need to do. And people will start questioning you. If you don't have the patience to answer them, you will just be like, you know what? You just resort to threatening and saying, if we don't do this, this is the implication. That is a lazy way of leading people. You need to be able to take your time to explain things to them, okay? So your team will learn from your behavior than from what you tell them. So you must show them. You must stay in the front, lead from the front. So for instance, you're saying to your team, you know what, we'll be working 3 times a week from the office, and I want that to happen, but you are nowhere to be found. You are nowhere to be found. My daughter would challenge me every time. So I could tell her, oh, don't eat that food, or don't take that drink, and she'll be like, oh, why should I not? I see you drinking that, and I see you eating that, or I see you going that way. Why are you telling me not to? And I start saying, oh, because I'm an adult and you're a child. That's quite lazy. But I mean, in an office situation, that's going to happen, because you need to show by the way you live your life that you are in sync with what you're telling them to do. So for instance, the way I lead my teams is, if there is something major, maybe my partner, my director wants us to do, I don't just say, oh team, by the way, go and do it and come and show me. I sit with my team, we put it together. If it's an Excel kind of situation, we sit down together, we collaborate on it together on a call. Or if we're in person together, we sit in a room, we do it together. We'll spread it, say, you do this, I do this. That's how we work. And that's how we've been able to churn out fantastic pieces, because that is how it should be. Don't just say, oh, they should go and do it. Even though I have other things I could be doing, 1,001 things, I need to demonstrate to them that the way we work here is together. Okay? So your behavior matters. Now, another thing I want you to think about is be genuinely interested in your team. Okay? Get to know your team members on a personal level. Don't just come into a meeting and say, okay, this is the agenda for the meeting, and then you'll just get it started with the meeting. Pay attention to them. Know them by their names. Know if everything they want to tell you, allow them tell you things they need to tell you. No, it's something as simple as where they live, like what town, what city, how they travel. It helps you understand them better. You could have a team member who does a 2-hour trip to get into the office every single morning. So you kind of have an empathy towards them. So because they have to do a long trip to get into the office, they may have left their house way earlier and they may have gotten to the office an hour and a half earlier than any other person. Now, when they need to go at the nick of time. Sometimes they need to go slightly before the nick of time. If you know the struggle they go through getting into the office, some of them even work on the trains, they work. If you know the stress they need to go through before coming into the office, you can empathize with them. You can say, you know what, once it is this time, it's fine. You can walk on the train home, whatever. You can encourage them to show empathy as well. So you build that sort of empathetic leadership situation on your team, and you will see how people will break their back for you. But you need to show genuine interest in them first. Okay? The 7th thing is stay with your team and have their back when needed. Now, I've been in different situations in my career. I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, the not so great. I've seen all sorts of leadership styles. And in my kind of work, it's not like you are working with one person for years. That's not how it works. Like, you're working with different kinds of people from time to time, depending on the project that you're put on. So I have experienced all sorts, and I'm going to tell you that this is important. When it is your team, be the mother hen, be the father, whatever that is, be the one shielding your team away from blames, from so someone didn't do something well. Look, as long as you're the leader, you stand there as a guide. So lead your team, tell them what they need to do, follow up with them, stay on top of your team, make sure you're getting the best out of them. But if anything goes wrong, you're going to be there as well to make sure you're shielding your team. You're not something has gone wrong and you're saying, oh, it is because someone on your team didn't do something well. That's not going to present you. It doesn't matter who you're saying this to. If it's your boss of your boss, you're saying that to. In the moment, it may sound like you've gotten away with it, but in their minds, they'll be like, do you take responsibility at all? So you need to get to the point where you're able to take responsibility the way you need to take responsibility. Okay, so the next one is write your team notes and inspire them to do more. Some sort of feedback, right? Not only the formal person. If you see someone doing something great, write them a nice note. I've said that earlier. Write them a nice note. Tell them how much they valued. Make sure that you're copying the right people in there. This works all the time. It just works all the time. It doesn't matter whether your organization has a feedback process or not. I'm telling you, if you own a business and you have people who work with you in the business, this is how you appreciate them. You always drop them appreciation notes. Okay, to tell them how much they're valued, how much you love the work they do for you, and the likes. Okay, you must write them feedback that captures the true essence of the work that they're doing for you. The 9th one is give them room to shine. Now, you're no longer a team member, okay? So you don't play that game no more. This is not you trying, you see that, competition to be seen, to be heard. You're seen already. You're heard already. And that's why you're the leader. Don't play that game no more. Let your team, give them a voice. Don't say, oh, someone is going to, if you give your team a voice, they are going to overshadow you. Give your team the voice. If you know what you're doing, you will be able to lend them the voice. Give them visibility opportunities. Get them into some rooms that you believe will project them for future growth and opportunities. So give them that voice. I used to say to my senior associates, I used to say to them, if I'm going to a meeting that I feel like will benefit them, and I feel like there will be something they can say in that meeting that will put them in front of the leaders, I'll definitely take them. Because I see my senior associates like proteges, like people that I could proudly say that I was part of their growth. I was part of their development. Okay, so give them a voice. Stop Stop competing with the people you should be leading. Okay, that doesn't work. So give them room to shine, give them visible opportunities within the team, and then when they do a piece of work, don't claim it. This is important, very important. Don't lose trust. When your team members do a good piece of work, don't go into a meeting where they are not in and say, we did this. It is not right. If your team members do something, call the name of the person who did that great job in the places where it matters. Now, when something doesn't go as great, it is we at that point. That is how you build trust. If it doesn't go as great, it is we, because it is your responsibility to make sure things go right. So it is we. In fact, if you are just two, if you say we, it means you're calling the other person's name. So it's hi. But if you're more, you're many, we. Now, if someone does something great within your team, it is not we. It is that person. It is their skill. It is their investment of time and effort. It is their courage that brought you to where you are. Okay? So don't forget that. Do not take credit for your team members' work, please. The third one is to ask your team members what their goals outside of your projects are and support them openly about them. Now, I do mentoring. I write every day to inspire professionals, write to thousands and thousands of professionals every day, and I enjoy it. That is what I do outside of work. Now, I bring all of that energy into my work. I bring all of the things I have learned, the technology, the use of technology, my ability to organize events, my ability to inspire others. I bring that to my work life. I bring it into my work. You see, I'm always chatty, I'm always happy, I'm always with a white smile. So it doesn't matter if the workload is basically breaking my back. You're gonna see me with my smiles. I'm gonna create time for my team members. I'm gonna do all of that. It's because I work in an organization and in a situation where what I do outside of work, it's not up for conversation. Like nobody, when I say it's not up for conversation, nobody is telling me not to do what I am doing outside of work. Like it's just a nice, like I could express myself to the fullest, right? So in fact, I've seen situations where my bosses have called me to say, I love what you do outside of work. Yes, in fact, one of my partners nominated me for an award because of what I do, the mentoring. So having that level of support around you for the things you do outside of work just makes you love the leaders you work for. So you use that as well. Get to know them if they do businesses outside of work, if there are things they do, if they do mentoring like I do mentoring, whatever it is they do outside of work, if they've got some skills, graphic design, all of that, they do freelancing at their free time, whatever it is they do, get to know them, get to see what they do, and get to empower them, get to support them, and ask them, how is that going, by the way? Did you get any rest over the weekend? That sort of situation, and encourage them. It's important that you do that, because the joy, all of those things they do outside of work give them an immense level of fulfillment. I can't even quantify the fulfillment I personally get from all of these things I do outside of work. But you know what? Every Monday I step through the door, I'm so full of life. You know why? Because people are telling me, hundreds of people are telling me, writing nice notes to me, writing me emails, telling me how much I'm changing their lives and all of that. You think I'll get to work and be unhappy? It's not going to happen. So support your team members, okay? The 11th thing is for you to create a culture of celebration. This is key. And it can be just about anything, but create a culture where people have fun, celebrate wins, go for drinks, go for games. You need to create that culture where it is so warm, it is fun to work with you as their leader. You need to do that. That's on you. You need to create a culture where people celebrate each other at work. Okay? The 12th thing is remember their big days. Okay? Remember their big days. So when they tell you it's my birthday, it's my wife's birthday, I sent different messages. My boss's birthdays, their wife's birthdays, whatever. As long as they say, "Oh, my kids is having his birthday," whatever that is, you save it, you keep it, you say congratulations to them, you celebrate them. They are having a work anniversary, whatever that is, you celebrate them every single time. Okay. The 13th thing is match individuals on your team to aspects of the project that suit their skill set. So you know how you have a team, so you can have different people on different grades, okay? And this is a skill for you as well. So you need to go and learn how to do it. So naturally, the way it works is there will be maybe someone on level 5 because they've been there for 5 years, maybe someone on level 4 because they've been there for 4 years, like that, level 1. Let's say you've been there for 7 years, so you are their manager. Now, you could have a level 1 or even an intern who is still doing his youth service, or someone who is in 300 level, 200 level in the university, join your team. But they are so good with data. They can manipulate large data sets. And I'm telling you this because it's real life experience. I've experienced it on my teams. The youngest member of the team can be the most talented in a particular area, but because of the way your organization is set up, that type of area is typically handled by someone with 5 years of experience. Now that's where you come in. That's where you add the spice as a leader. You should not, because it is expected that it has to be this person, then you fit round pegs into round holes, square pegs in square holes. Do that. Give those tasks to who they need to go to. So I've had situations where, even though I've had the youngest members of my team do complex tasks because they are just so smart and they can manipulate data, what I then do is I then give them the support they need for more experienced team members in case they needed to make a decision A or B. Although they can manipulate data, they may not be able to translate that into insights. So they will have another more experienced person that will help them with the insights. So the other more experienced person can focus on the areas they do well in like maybe their ability to have client meetings and persuade stakeholders and all of that, project management and all of that. So more experienced members can focus on those areas, while this less experienced person can focus on what they are so good at. But you need to make sure. I've also seen situations where I've had two equally experienced people. One is so good with project management, the other is so good with just chatting to people, talking to people, convincing people and the rest. So you need to determine where, you basically just need to determine who you need to put where, and that comes with you being smart enough to make that decision. Okay, good. So the 14th thing is, do not reward toxic behavior. Call it out. If you see someone being nasty to another person, or you see someone using foul language against another person, or just someone being just rude, just being doing inappropriate things, you need to call it out. It doesn't matter whether they are the most talented on your team, and there are various ways that you could do that without, going to extreme. It depends on obviously how that behavior landed on everybody and how it tallies with companies' policies and the rest. But you must make sure that you do not encourage toxic behavior. When something is reported, you make sure that you take it seriously and everybody knows that it's been taken seriously. Okay. Number 15 is respect the boundaries that have been communicated to you. If boundaries have been communicated to you, respect it. So someone says to you, I have an event, a family thing on Wednesday at 5 p.m. so I need to leave an hour early to get home. They've communicated this maybe 2 weeks before, maybe a week before, whatever that is, and you have agreed. You are not going to come on that day and then when it is 3:50, then you call them into an hour-long meeting and you know that they need to go. That doesn't just make sense. When your team members also tell you, look, I do not work past 5 p.m. on Fridays, or I do not work weekends, or after 6 p.m. I do not take calls. Those are communicated boundaries and you must respect those boundaries. Okay, I think at the beginning of this video I said 15, but I think I've got 2 more, so I'm just going to share those 2 with you. Roll up your sleeves. Okay, I've talked about it before. Do not abandon your team members when you should be sticking with them. roll up your sleeves and work with your team. Get them in a room, do projects together. Don't leave them to do stuff and then come and say, oh, give me the summary. And then when they give you the summary, you then take the summary and take the summary to your bosses. That doesn't just make any sense. Even you would not be growing as a leader yourself if you do that. So sit in the room with your team and get work done with your team. The last one is, even though you are expected to know it all, you should continue to strive to grow technically. You are the technical manager of your team. If your team is in customer development, or your team, the work on your team is marketing, or the work on your team is branding, or it is accounting, finance, you must understand the business of your team. You must understand the technical aspects of the work you do on your team, and you must continue to grow. Personally, I say this, I must always be a step, 2 steps, 3 steps ahead of the people that I'm leading when it comes to technical understanding of concepts and understanding of situation. I will always be steps ahead of them. I can't be leading them if they're better than me. Then I will not be adding any value to them. So you must continue to grow. You must continue to show yourself to be valuable to your team members. They are not the ones that should be they're not the ones that should be trying to prove to you that they are all that and more. You should be proving to them that you are all that and more, and you are able to lead them and bring them the value that they need. So yes, so these are the 15 things that I think, 17, I think I got to 17, that I think you would need as a new manager. If you've just been promoted, congratulations, you're going to need this. It's going to work for you. They're so simple yet so effective, and I know that you're going to find so much value when you do apply this. So thank you very much, and see you in the next video. Thank you for taking your time to watch this video. I'm sure you enjoyed it and you learned something during the course of watching this video. If you liked everything you saw, please subscribe to this channel and turn on the notifications so you can get notified every time a new video is dropped, to inspire and spur you to take action. Also like, share and comment so that others can also see this and benefit from it. Thank you, and see you